My dear students, today we are going to enter into Unit 2, Supplementary. The name of the story is A Life of Pi. Today we are going to deal with a very interesting story, and it is very adventurous and thriller. Here we are going to know the story, The Life of Pi. Who is here Pi? His full name is Pisin Molitor Pi Patel. So that is his full name. Okay. So in this story we are going to know, we are going to understand the adventure and thriller of Pi. What are we going to deal with in this story? Here there are two important characters in this. One is Pi and another is Richard Parker, that is Bengal tiger. Okay. So we are going to deal with this story very in detailed manner. Okay. Before that, let us know about the author. The story Life of Pi was written by Jan Martel. Let us know short biography of Jan Martel. Jan Martel was born in Spain to French Canadian parents. Martel's father worked as a diplomat and the family moved to Costa Rica. A diplomat means he is ambassador. France, Mexico and Canada during Martel's childhood. He grew up speaking both French and English. Martel studied philosophy at Trent University in Ontario and later spent a year in India visiting religious sisters and zoos. His first 3 books received little critical or popular attention, but with the publication of Life of Pi in 2001. So he became very famous when the book published The Life of Pi. Okay, after this only he became very famous. Martel became internationally famous and he was awarded the Man Booker Prize in 2002. So Jan Martel was well known to the world only after he published Life of Pi. Here is an abridged version of the famous Canadian fantasy adventure novel titled Life of Pi by Jan Martel, published in 2001. So it is a very abridged version. Abridged version means very short version. It is a very long novel written by Jan Martel on the title Life of Pi. But they have given us an abridged version, that is a short version of the Canadian fantasy adventure. It is a fantasy adventure, okay, titled Life of Pi. The protagonist is Pisin Molitor Pi Patel. Okay, protagonist means the hero of the story. Okay, so the hero of the story is Pisin Molitor Pi Patel. He is an Indian boy from Pondicherry. He survives 227 days after a shipwreck while stranded on a lifeboat in the Pacific Ocean with a Bengal tiger named Richard Parker. So what happened? The Pisin Molitor and Pi and her family, they traveled. So on the travel, the shipwreck means ship broke and they sunk into the sea. In which sea? The Pacific Ocean. So there were only 2 people survived out of this, that is Pi Patel and Bengal tiger. They were both in one lifeboat, stranded. Stranded means abandoned. Okay, they are left with one boat. Okay, who are the people? Pi Patel and Bengal tiger named Richard Parker. So this is how the story begins here. Before going to the story, let us discuss the characters and their roles played in this story. The characters which are going to see are very important in this story. Let us see the first character, Pisin Molitor Pi Patel. He is the protagonist of the story. Very important character. Already I told you the protagonist means the hero of the play. The hero of the story is Pisin Molitor Pi Patel and he is called as Pi. The next very important character, Richard Parker. So Richard Parker, who is Richard Parker? It is Bengal tiger which travelled along Pi. Next character, orange juice. What is this orange juice? It is a orangutan. Orangutan, it's same like a chimpanzee. Okay, it looks like a chimpanzee that also traveled in the ship. Next is hyena and zebra. This hyena and zebra are other animals. Okay, so these are the characters which played in this story. Once again, let me summarize the characters. Pisin Molitor, Pai Patel is the protagonist of the story. Richard Parker, Bengal tiger. Orange juice is orang-utan, and other animals are hyena and zebra. Life of Pi. Already we have seen a short or brief summary of this story. Already we know the protagonist of the story, Pi. Okay. Already we have discussed the characters and very important points in this story. Now we are going to see this. Now we are going to know the story in detailed manner. Each and every point we are going to know from this story. I have written it in a hints. Okay, it's in the form of hints developing. Okay, so I have given only the hints with the points, very important points and very important words I have written here, so that we can understand the story in better manner. So I am going to deal with this story very in detailed manner. I am not going to miss any scene from this story. I have told you in the summary a very brief and very important points only, but now we are going to deal with this story very in detailed manner. And already we know that it is an adventurous story, okay, written by Jan Martel, okay. And you know that Pi was there in the Pacific Ocean for 227 days. He was alive, he was surviving in the ocean. And you know that in the flashback they were traveling to some place with the family, and the ship wrecked. Shipwrecked means ship broken and sunk into the sea, and he and some of the animals escaped in the lifeboat. So the story begins from there. Let us begin the story. So I refers to here Pi. So Pi was alone and orphaned. Orphan means he was alone, lonely in the place. Nobody was there in the ocean, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So he was caught up in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Okay. So how was he alive? Hanging on to an oar. Oar means it is used for, it is a flat surface, okay, type of lever having a flat blade. It's like a flat blade which we use to sail in the river or in the ocean. So what happened here? Pi was caught up in the Pacific Ocean and he was hanging on the oar. Okay. So who are there in the lifeboat? An adult tiger was there. So you know who is the adult tiger here? Bengal tiger, that is Richard Parker. So he was there in front of him, and the sharks beneath. In the boat there was adult tiger, and beneath the sea there were sharks, very dangerous sharks. What is trying to say here? He was in danger. So he was alone, he was orphaned, hanging on the oar, and before him there was a danger, a Bengal tiger. Richard Parker was there. It was ready to eat him, and the shark was beneath the sea. So beneath him there is a sharks moving and waiting to eat him. And beside that, the weather, the storm raging. So weather was so violent. Raging means violent. So there was a storm, there was a heavy wild wind around him. So here what are the dangers we have for a Pi? Adult tiger was ready to eat him, and the shark was beneath him and it was ready to eat him, and weather, the nature also did not leave him, and there was a heavy wild storm. Raging means violent storm was there. So with this he was hanging on the oar. So the light of reason, he wanted to give up. Actually there was a situation, he thought that he is going to die. Why he decided to die? Because tiger is in front of him, shark is beneath him, and there was a heavy storm was there. So what he decided, let go of the oar, let me give up holding this oar before being eaten by the tiger, shark and the storm raging. So he did not want to die by those things. So he wanted to leave. So he had a particular thought, hoping drown before being eaten. You understand? Okay. So he did not want to being eaten by adult tiger or shark or killed by the storm. So he wanted to give up and he wanted to leave that oar. Okay. Now what happens? He did not even have a time to recall. His single thought was only how to save. First minute of relatively safety, which means he did not have to time to recall all those things, how he was caught and how he was struggling, all those times. He did not have time to recall them. He had only one single thought, that is to save himself. That 1 minute only he remembers always. So what happened at the time? Not noticed the daybreak. He did not even notice the daybreak. What do you mean by daybreak? Daybreak means early morning. So he was not bothering about whether it is a morning, afternoon or night. So he did not bother about all those things. His single thought was only to save himself. Held on the oar, God only knows. So what happened here? God only knows why he is hanging on the oar, because to save himself. So what happened here? There was a danger in front of him. The adult tiger, Richard Parker was there. Beneath the shark was there, and the nature was against him. So everything was against him, but he did not want to give up. Okay, but he says, I want to give up because I don't want to be being eaten by all those things, he thought. But he had only one thing, he want to be saved from all those things. Okay, that's why he did not bother about daybreak or afternoon or night, anything. Okay, but he himself says to himself, only God knows why I am hanging here, he says. So what happened here? Next he said, element allowed. Why is the thing, why he is hanging still? He has some kind of hope that he will live. Go on living. There are some elements which made him, which allowed him to live there. What are the elements? The lifeboat not sink, which means the boat which is there, it did not sink. That is the first element. Next, Richard Parker, that is the second element. What happened to Richard Parker? That is out of sight. Okay, so Richard Parker did not notice pie. Okay, Richard Parker was not looking at a pie and it was not eager to eat him. That is second reason. That is second element. Third element, the sharks prowled. Prowled means just moving idle. That is called prowled. You might have seen in the Discovery channels and all fish and the sharks and all, just they will move around. Even there may be some people will be there below the sea, but it never touches them or kill them. It just moves. So in that way, shark just prowled, not attacked. That is third element. Next is the waves splashed. So the waves were very forceful and splashed. What do you mean by splashed means? It just hit some rocks and makes a noise over there. Okay, that is the fourth element. Not pulled off. So those violent waves did not pull him into the water. And these are the elements made him to live. What are the elements? First one, the lifeboat did not sink. Next, Richard Parker did not look at him and not eager to eat him at the time. Third one, shark was just prowling. It was just moving around idly, did not kill him. Next, waves were very violent and did not pull him. So all these elements made him to live. And what he was doing, watched the ship as it disappeared with the burbling and bulging. What do you mean by burbling? Burbling means bubbling. okay, making bubbles on the water. When waves move, the water makes bubbling. And what do you mean by belching? Belching means air, the noisy air comes out of the waves are called belching. So now what happens here? These are the elements which made him to leave, and he was looking at a ship which disappeared with the bubbling and bulging. The ship which he travelled was sinking in the water, it going into the sea and making bubbles above. Okay, so have you understood this? Okay, so what he says, he is alone. Okay, his single thought was only to save from all those things, Richard Parker, sharks and everything, and these are the elements made him to live, to survive. Okay, next, lights flickered. Okay, so what happened? It was the light was going down. Okay, it was becoming darker. That's why flickered, he says. The flats of the light unsteady. The lights were unsteady because the dark, it is going to be dark. Looked for family. He was looking on the sea. Just he was jumping and looking for his family, and whether there are my family is living, or the survivors, those who survive from the shipwrecked ship, or another lifeboat. He was looking above the sea level and looking for his family members, whether they are live or whether they are alive, or some other survivors are swimming around there. He was looking at them. And another thing he looked at is lifeboat, whether there is another lifeboat. He was looking at them. Anything that brings hope, he was looking if there is some kind of help may come from the other way. So he was thinking there may be a hope which may save my life. But what happened? Nothing was there. Okay, so he looked for his family, he looked for his survivors, and he looked for the another lifeboat, but nothing happened. There was no hope at all. Nothing helped him. What happened? Only raining. It was raining there. Marauding waves. What in by marauding waves? Okay, raiding and pillaging or plunder by force. The marauding waves of black ocean. So the waves of the ocean was very forceful and just pulling him out of the place. Okay, so there was only rain and marauding waves were pulling him off. Okay, flotsam. What do you mean by flotsam? There was the dust. Okay, like a wastage. All those things will be there. Okay. That is called flotsam. What are the flotsams? You will have some kind of bottles, wastage bottles, or some can. All those will be swimming on the waves, isn't it? So they were coming and hitting him. Okay, and darkness melted. What happened? The darkness was nearing. Okay, the light was reducing its power. Rain stopped. So it was raining first. Okay, the marauding wave just pulled him off, and there were wastage, flotsam. There were wastages were there, just pulling him, touching him, and the darkness melted. So there was a darkness around him. Rain stopped. Suddenly the rain stopped. Could not stay in the position for a long time. So he was just hanging on the oar, and he was in a particular position. If he changes the position, he will sink into the sea. So he did not change the position, and he could not move because he could not stay in the position for a long time. He could not stay for a long time in a particular position. And because, why it is? Because it was cold. It was very cold that he could not stay in a particular position. My neck sore, which means there was he felt thirsty. His neck means throat. Here throat was sore. There was no water, there was no moisture in his throat. Okay, that is, it became sore. Holding my head. So he was just above the water and hanging his head above the water like a crane. Okay, so since he was looking there, looking like a crane above the water, he had back pain. His back was hurt because he was looking for a long time above the water. and leaning the life buoy. What do you mean by life buoy? It is like a life saving circle which makes us to float on the water. Okay, so that is called life buoy. So he was just leaning on that. Okay, he was needed only one thing. What he needed? He needed higher up. What do you mean by higher up? He wanted to be higher, above the sea level. So he tried himself to come out of the water, and he was just looking above the water to see other lifeboat. So he wanted to see whether there is another lifeboat is coming to save him. Just he was making his head to higher to see whether there is some other boat. So see how very pathetic situation. Nobody were there to help him. He was looking for his family, and then survivors another boat. But what happened? He wanted to have a hope so that somebody will help him. But what happened? Nothing happened. Only rain came and marauding waves of black ocean hitting him with the float sand. Float sand means what? Wastage. And what happened next? The darkness melted. So there was a darkness. It became evening. The sun set. Okay. Suddenly what happened? Rain stopped. Could not stay in the position for a long time because it was cold. He was just hanging on the oar and standing for a long time because it was cold. And his neck was sore. Sore means what? There was no moisture in his throat because he did not drink water. You might wonder, there is water around him, but what water? It was a salty water. How can he drink? He cannot drink, isn't it? Because it is very salty. So his throat was very sore, and he was holding his head above the water like a crane to save from the water. If he drinks more water, more salty water, he might die. So he was just looking above the sea level and he was saving himself. So since he was doing in that way, his back was hurt, and he was leaning on the life buoy. Already I told you it's in round shape through which we put it in the head. Okay, we float on the sea. That is called life buoy. This life buoy, he was just leaning on the life buoy, and he needed only one thing: higher up, to make himself above the sea level in order to see the other lifeboat might come. But what happened? It was night, nothing came. So morning. So it was early morning. The sun again came out. The sun rose. Okay, not moved, pinned by the weakness. He could not move because he was there in only one particular position. He could not move, and moreover pinned by weakness to the tarpaulin. Tarpaulin means it is a heavy waterproof sheet. Heavy waterproof sheet which is on the lifeboat. So he was sticking onto that, and he was stuck onto the tarpaulin. Okay, by weakness. What do you mean by weakness? He did not drink, he did not eat. So he was so weak that he was so attached, pinned by the weakness to the tarpaulin. So he was very much attached to the tarpaulin. He is very tired now. Thinking exhausting. He feels, even if I think about something, he feels very tired. Exhausting means tired. If he thinks about something, he feels tired. Okay. Applied thinking straight. So what he does is just relaxing himself and just thinking in straight manner. When he thinks, he gets the images of caravan of camels crossing desert. So these are the particular thought which he has. Okay, what is the thought? When he want to think, it becomes very tired. But what happens? So he does not want to think more. Just he thinks in straight away, and when he thinks, there are images of camel crossing the desert. So these are the thoughts comes out of his mind. Not had a drop to drink. He did not even had a drop to drink. Not even had a bit to eat. Bit means a little food to eat. He did not have any food to eat. And for last 3 days he did not even sleep for a minute of sleep. Why he did not sleep, you might wonder. It is night already, there is a boat, lifeboat is there, so he can sleep well. But why he did not sleep? Because in front of him there is a tiger, beneath him there is a shark. Okay, so there are dangerous things are there in front of him and beneath him. So how could he sleep? So that's why he says, I did not even sleep for a minute. Especially for 3 days I did not sleep, he says. And he gives an explanation. This explanation why he is giving, what are the explanation he is giving? I am tired and I could not think. If I think camels are crossing me or crossing in the desert, and you can see there wastage is hitting me. Okay, I could not move in a position. I have to see like a crane. Okay, why he is saying all this explanation? Because my weakness brought me a little strength. So when I think of all these points, when I think of my weakness, I feel I get little strength. Okay, so that's why he says this very long explanation in this. Okay, so I hope you have understood. Okay, so in this what he says, the lights flickered, the light went out. Okay, so he was looking for a family and survivors and another lifeboat. But what happened? Nothing helped him. Why nothing helped him? Because nothing came. Only rain came and the violent marauding waves came and hit him. And next what thing? Float Sam, all the wastages which are there in the sea just came together and hit him. Next what happened? Darkness fell. Okay, now darkness came and rain stopped. Okay, after the raining stopping, what happened? He could not move because it was cold, and he did not drink. Since he did not drink, his neck, his throat was sore. Okay, there was no moisture. His head was above the water like a crane. Since he was like a crane, his back hurt and he was leaning on the life buoy. Okay, he wanted only one thing, that is looking up. What happened the next morning? Since he was lying on the tarpaulin, he was very tired. Why he was tired? Because he did not drink, he did not have food to eat. So since he was so weak, he was pinned to the tarpaulin, and even to think of things, he gets tired. But what happens? He thinks in straight away there were images of camel crossing him. Okay, and finally he says, I did not drink, I did not eat, I did not sleep for 3 days. Why I am giving you all this explanation? Because these weaknesses makes me to get strength. Okay, so in this part what we have seen, there is a scene was opened with this struggle. So how the shipwreck and how he was struggling and what are the dangers around him. So these are the things we have seen. Okay,